To bring in Scott Bauer, CEO, Prosper Trading Academy, who's over there at the CBO. Oh, whoa, you're coming in virtually elsewhere today. I thought you were over in the pits today.
I actually am at the CBO. I'm just upstairs in my office. And
Okay. I was like, wait a second. That doesn't look like our usual backdrop over there. Okay, you've got the corner office over there, Scott. It's good to see you. All right, let's start out with your take on this week's strength that we've seen in the equity market. Are the bulls turning a corner from your point of view?
Unfortunately, I can't say that. I'd love to. And, it really is just so dependent, Diane, on the news flow. And we know that. I mean, we've talked about that ad nauseum. There are a lot of good signs, a lot of stocks that have recovered past critical levels. The S&Ps, which were down 20%, now we're looking at a big rally back 10%. But we're not out of the woods yet by any stretch of the imagination, because we're still in this environment that all it takes is, one tweet, whatever it may be. I just saw recently, just over the last couple minutes, China came out and said there are no negotiations going on right now. So, we don't know. Now, the fundamentals of the marketplace, I think, are in a fairly good place. So if we were able to remove the news flow, if we were able to remove, what we're seeing in this current environment, I think we'd be okay. But I think it's way too early to say we're out of the woods.
It's a great point you make about because on one hand you have President Trump saying that he's in talks with or that we're in talks with China, and then in that interview with Time saying that President Xi Jinping called him. So it sounds like we're talking. On the other side, you have leaders from China saying no, there are no talks. So it's like, it begs the question, who do we listen to here on that? So it does feel like it's just unclear until we get any kind of trade deal, whether it's the U.S. and China, whether it's the U.S. and India, or just something on the table. So let's talk a little bit about some of the price action that you're paying attention to outside of equities. Dollar firming up near 100. What do you make of that? What are you watching there?
So it's all a matter of the level of uncertainty just easing a little bit, compared to where we were a week, 2 weeks ago, where the news flow was pretty much constant negativity. We're seeing now things, I'm not going to say normalize, but stabilize a little bit. And that is really important. I do think the Google or Alphabet report yesterday was really, really important for the markets. I'm hoping for the markets that the rally that we've seen post-market yesterday and what we're seeing this morning, hopefully that holds. And maybe that's a precursor to next week, because next week we have a deluge of earnings between Apple and Microsoft and Amazon and Meta, and not sure what else I just forgot there. So, it is going to be so important just to give some confidence back to the marketplace.
Okay, you make a great point. Do you think that next week earnings may weigh more, or at least, on balance, similar to, you're going to say it's still a headline-driven market, I bet. But you tell me, what's your view about what to watch next week? What's going to matter the most?
It is a headline-driven market. However, if we get some decent reports out of those big four, that could really set a stage then for a rally, unless it's derailed by, excess tariff news. So up until this point, it has been all news driven. The individual earnings that we've seen really haven't made a difference in the overall market. I do think for sentiment, the Alphabet earnings are really good, and hopefully we can continue that next week. But we still know that, we're literally a second, a minute, an hour away from some news flow that can really derail or direct this market. And, one thing I want to say, because I spent the majority of my day yesterday down in the VIX pit here, even though we're seeing the volatility index in VIX, well off its highs, kind of back to the mid to higher 20s right now, which historically is really, really high. I don't think we're going much lower. And speaking with the traders there, looking at the order flow that we're getting, this new range of the VIX, I think for a while, is going to be 25 plus.
Interesting. Okay. All right. We're looking at 26, a little more than 26 right now on the VIX. All right. Scott, great insight as usual. That's Scott Bauer, CEO, Prosper Trading Academy.